Here's 3 things that are going to help you run faster, especially if you're a newer runner or an older runner. And this is important because the 3 things are: develop and increase your muscle elasticity, especially your use of elasticity. Second, increase your range of motion. And third, work on the skill of speed. Work on the skill of running itself to get faster at any pace. So really number 3 should be number 1. But I like to give the physical side of the running first. So what does that mean? Develop your muscle elasticity. Does that mean, do I need to use a rubber band? Absolutely not. And this is important. We are going to use this band and I highly recommend it. However, developing elasticity is about developing it in your body, specifically in that muscle tendon elasticity here, right? We want to use that in our run. So most of us, especially if we're a newer runner or we've been running for a long time, we might have just been training to run distance. So when you run a lot of distance, what you do is you use a lot more what's called active muscle contraction. So we want to use muscle elasticity. So what is elasticity? Elasticity is your ability for the muscle to keep, basically it's a rebound. The muscle can keep contracting. So it's not going to a full contraction or a full relax. It is in a state of, we're going to do a hop. This is elasticity. So elasticity means I can continue doing this. I'm using a rebound style. So remember, I'm not trying to ever jump. This is important with any of these hops. Instead of jumping, I want that when my foot touches down, I can immediately pop it back up. So this is a fantastic exercise to start developing that speed, right? So hops is what you start with, hops. And then just that next level, elasticity hop. So my feet are a little wider, my arms are here. It's all about that torso shrug. See, I'm not adding more work. This is really, really important. The effort in your run is not in the muscular effort. It's in here. It's in the cardio and it's in your ability to hold your body weight. So this is important. Now I just want to show you, where would the curve come in? So I highly recommend this. It's like a quick foot. So what does that mean? I want to pull quickly because in running fast, I want to have a higher cadence, right? So here's a curve and here's what I want to do. Thinking up, 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 up. That is quick pulls on a curve. Notice I got my heart rate up. So that's the other thing. I'm going to develop conditioning while I'm doing these drills. And this is so important because if I want to run longer and or faster, I need conditioning. So I need to be able to pull my foot quick while my heart rate is elevated. See, and I'm just learning. These drills are for learning so that when I'm running, I know what to do. So one thing to keep in mind is, how would I add these drills in for speed work? I would do them in the warm-up of my interval speed session, or I would do them on their own because it's just a fantastic way to work on your foot pull, your conditioning. So again, you'll start with just hops, work up to those elasticity hops, and then just get a curve and think everything's about up. Up, 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 and then quicker. Up, 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 up. And it'll be a higher cadence than you're ever going to run. That's the whole point. If I work on these skills when I'm not running, when I'm running, it's going to be a lot easier. So that muscle elasticity, by the way, all of us can keep developing and using until we're 85. At 85, you have to work even harder, but that's okay. I actually trained a guy that came to me at age 85 for that reason. And he said, I want to run a mile in under 10 minutes. And he was 85. I was like, let's do it. He ran an 8:40. And all we did was work on that quick foot. That's it. He would come to the track, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, up, 2, 3, up, 2, 3, up, 2, 3, up, 2, 3. Because once you understand the skill of the movement, right? Now I know I just need to pull my foot. So if I have to pull it higher or quicker, that's okay because I already know how to pull. So that's really important. So second is range of motion. And range of motion is your stride length. And this is important because stride length is the distance from when you leave the ground to when you recover again. It happens, the travel portion of your stride happens when both feet are off the ground. So again, I'm going to use this curb just as my barrier here, right? So if I want to increase my stride length, right? So I want to look like the runners in the magazines, you know, big stride length. First, what do you need to do for your legs to really separate? You need to put them in that separation. So then you have to do exercises that allow that full range of motion in the hip, right? And this is, you know, what people normally call stretching. This is why the runner's lunge is so popular. So the runner's lunge is where you come down and you stretch here. I'm just using this, it's easy. You don't have to use it. You can do your runner's lunge here. I suggest holding on to something and having a cushion or something, but this is the runner's lunge. And this is going to increase range of motion. It's mimicking what you want to see in flight. So adding the runner's lunge, which is a very simple lunge, meaning this is just the name of the lunge. You actually start in the 4-4, you slide this foot back, and then you press this foot forward. So again, I highly recommend having a cushion or something, but notice how my chest is lifted. When you run, you want to hold this lifted, right? So, you know, this is this is going to be happening. In flight, it's like this, right? This is like the pictures you want to see. However, I have to make sure my hips can get into that full range of motion. So if they cannot, then you're going to work on range of motion exercises to increase that range of motion. If you've watched my warm-up, so warm-up 1, I actually include toe touches and windmills, because what is this doing? It's doing the same thing. I'm getting that range of motion without putting body weight or pressure on my knees. So we have tons of exercises that you can use to increase your range of motion, which we all need, right? As you get older, you want to have range of motion. So what's really neat though, is I want to have range of motion, but I also need, what's really important is that once that separation happens, when I touch down, I want to make sure from however wide my stride length was, if you will, or my range, that when my foot touches down, I'm here, right? Recovering that pose position. And this is where part 3 comes in, right? So now it's like, okay, I'm doing my quick feet, I'm doing my hops, I'm doing my pulls, you know, I'm doing all of my work. We like to work, we're runners. And then you're like, okay, now I've added in some range of motion work. How do I actually put that together to run faster? Well, this is where this band comes in. And obviously, just so you know, you want to take this out and practice, right? But the best part is I can practice if I have to right here. And I do this all the time. But to feel it, you're going to have to go out and run, right? So I'm going to use the band for that purpose. So if I'm standing perfectly still, right? How does my body, from just standing still, how do I initiate forward movement? If I was going to, and pretend you hadn't watched any of my videos, most people think that to start traveling, they're supposed to use their legs. So most people's initial movement is this. Now with this band on, I immediately feel tension. Like I had to stop and I couldn't go any further. So I really want you to understand the band helps you strengthen both your ability to hold, but also your mental ability of understanding your positioning and your run. So this is important. Most people think that running faster is doing this, okay? This is what's thought. Now, can I start my run like this? Sure. Do sprinters start like this? Sure they do. Why? Why does a sprinter start like this? Because this is like they're past falling, right? If I didn't have this band on and I just took my hands away, I would face plant. So by the way, fall angle up to 22.5 for a human. Past that, you face plant. So if you're here like a sprinter, right? So I'm a sprinter. And if I took my hands away, I would face plant. So what in fact happens in sprinting is when they do take their hands away, they pull this foot at the same time, and they lift their torso. It's really smooth when they do it, by the way. So what happens is, where's their body weight? Here, in this foot. So when they do their sprint start, everything is about lifting up. So it's up, 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 up. And then they get upright. They actually spend the fast part of their running is upright. So they start all the way bent over, and then the first part of their run is getting to a spot that they can hold on to. So most of us aren't sprinters. We're endurance athletes. So learning how to sprint start, by the way, is its own skill. These runners work on these skills all the time. I want you to think less of that and more of that upright position. So can you have fun though with a sprint start? Yeah, sure. If you want to do that, please. But for reality purposes, I want you to understand, the more you understand that you are aligned, ears, shoulders, hips, this line never changes. So when you travel forward, so here's my running pose. What happens as soon as I bend my knee, think of elasticity. It's an S shape for springy. So as soon as I bent my knee, I am now spring loaded. See, I'm springy. And I don't want to jump up, right? I want to travel forward. So what's neat is that elasticity, even now, watch. If I stand on both feet here, okay? Now, as soon as I bend my knees and get to pose, my upper body already traveled forward. Why? Because my knee bent. It made an S shape, and that's important. Did I change anything? No. You have a job to hold. You've got to hold, knees bent, and hold this line. So using this band, it's just incredible for strength, right? And why do we put it on the hips? Because when you run, your hips, they hold here. When you're running, there's no movement other than arms and legs moving, right? You move the foot up, you let the arms relax. The faster you run, the faster your feet and arms will move. So what happens is, first, I have to understand, what's my job? You have two jobs. The first one is to hold your line up. Think 12 o'clock, straight up. That's important. My knees have to be bent. This is a hold. Hold. Hold for the length of your run. Whatever the run's going to be, you have to stay here. And then your action, your job, right, is to pull the foot. So pulling the foot is your action. Holding is what you have to do. Now, the faster I run, look, my feet are pulling higher. My arms are pumping, or they appear to be. They're swinging faster. That's byproduct. That's a response to speed. Isn't that neat? When you're running a tempo run, so here's tempo. My knees are bent, still holding that same line. Just up, up, up. Up, 2, 3, up, 2, 3. So you see there's a little bit of a swing. My foot pull is there, good cadence. Not very high, doesn't need to be. However, if I want to run faster and I just think lift up, you'll see what happens. I'm going to lift my torso and look, see, I've traveled forward. My feet are higher, they're pulling quicker. My arms are also swinging. Those are, my heart rate's up. Those are all results, byproducts. You will get faster by practicing just the elements. I've got to practice standing here, holding my line. I've got to practice the sensation of falling. That's why I like the band, because I can practice that. Then when you get out of the band, you can pull and feel immediately, woo! And everything feels light. Your hips feel light, your pulse feel light. It feels light and quick. Most people that are true sprinters, I am not, but I do a lot of these drills, right? And I got faster with my own runs. They'll all say to you, listen, like when Usain Bolt won all the Olympics, he said, when I'm really running well, I feel like there's a sail has caught me and I'm just sailing, right? Most of us, when we run fast, we don't feel like that. Most people, when they try to run faster, their first thought is, pump your arms, reach your legs, drive, push, all these actions. And it's like, no, 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 don't do any of that. You don't need to do any of that. Let it go. Let all that go. You have to instead, you have one job. My job is simply to hold this body in line and let it free fall and pull my foot. That's it, and that's running. So if I want to run faster, what you start to realize is I just need to let go more. I just need to free fall more, but I need to be prepared for what's going to happen. I want to be able to handle the heart rate lifting. I want to be able to handle my foot pulling. I want to be able to handle that. So these drills, that's what they prepare you for. And it's amazing. You start with just these elasticity hops, and you travel up, a little bit higher. You start adding some quick feet. It doesn't have to be really complicated, simple drills. Get a band. We've got a link, like I said, you can get them on Amazon. You can get this for $5 or just use a curb outside. But think about it. If I'm going to load my foot and strengthen my foot by doing some of this stuff, and at the same time, the whole body's getting stronger, my mindset's getting better because I'm understanding what it feels like even to run at a different pace, right? I want to feel tempo, a little bit faster, to full sprint, like you want to feel those differences because everybody out there is like, run easy, run slow to run fast, like all these things they're saying. And I'm like, no one's telling me how to do that, because most people, when they first start trying to run at all, they're like, whoo, I'm winded, right? So then it's like, okay, that's all right. Let's develop your conditioning. Let's develop your ability to hold your own body weight. Let's get you really comfortable with the actions you need for your running. So this is the fun of running faster, and then go out and do it. Go out to a track or go out to a field. Go somewhere where you can just run. It doesn't have to be a long distance, by the way, 10 to 20 seconds, and just let go and run. It's amazing. And when you start to connect with falling, with what it really does feel like to just release and pull your feet, it's fun. It's kind of like being a kid. If you're a little kid and someone asks you to, hey, I'll race you to that tree, you didn't stop and say, wait, let me warm up. I want you to warm up. But you know what I mean? You're like, oh, let's go. You want that same sensation, that same energy, that same rush from running fast, rather than worrying about, I'm going to hurt myself, or I don't know how to run fast. I'm not a fast runner. I hear this all the time. That's okay. It's not about that. It's about training your body to handle running faster, running longer, just all of it, less fatigue. It feels better on your joints, all the good stuff. And then if you want to go next level, like Super Shoe, go for it. But first learn how to run well, any speed or distance. Get that form down, and then gadgets are fun, gizmos are fun. But before that, make a super foot. Make it so you can. And I'll say this because I like to use stories real quick, but yes, I am now 50, I'm almost 54 years old. And I found pose when I was 29. And I had already run a lot of marathons, and I ran like an 8:30 pace. Really, to me, I'm still proud of it. So when I met Dr. Romanov, and I met him 21 years ago, I had already been studying the pose, just so you know. I was already coaching pose. However, I hadn't worked directly with him. So he watched me run, and he said to me, why are you not running any faster? And I was like, man, I'm running 8:30s. Feeling pretty good, right? And he said, no, it's not. You're working too hard to run fast. And you actually are spending probably over a minute on the ground every mile that you don't need to be on the ground. And I'd never heard that before. By the way, this was before Garmin's. We were just using stopwatches, things like that. So I was like, okay. And by the way, when I first started running, I'm a coach. I wanted to get people to their finish line. It was never about me. I was more about, I'm going to lead the group. I'm going to sign up for all these races. I never thought I'm going to compete. Just so you know, my thought was only finish line, injury-free, get as many people running as I could. I just love running. I never had thought of myself as a competitor, so I didn't think about things like that. So when he asked me that question, I'd never tried to run any faster. I really thought I was like where I could be. And I told him, I was like, I run marathons. And he was like, good for you. So with him teaching me falling and the understanding of falling, it's not just the put on a band and you're going to fall. It's perception. Like you have to understand, you have to let go. Like falling is is freedom in running, by the way. So I was like this. I am pulling. I am pulling. I wasn't actually going woo into the falling. And what happened for me, by the way, is my half marathon went from 145 to 127. Isn't that wild? And I mean, my 10K went from 45 to 40. My 5K went from 22 to 19. I almost made 18. I got 19:02 twice. And so what I learned was, one, how to run faster, how to truly fall, how to hold it, by the way, for length of time, and also how to incorporate that drill, those drills and that speed training into everyone's training so it could be manageable and doable for them to get. I want you to get to Boston. I want you to cross that finish line. You know, that's my goal. So I raced for a year, and that was about 2 years, saw what I could do. I wanted it for you guys, really, for coaching. But it was really funny when he was like, well, what's wrong with you? And I was like, well, nothing's wrong with me. And he was like, well, pick up your foot, fall. So, you know, having him has been great. And then I've just helped so many people. Like I said, someone at 85 years old, you know, obviously tons of people I've helped get to Boston. All of these events they want to get to. Now we're seeing like a hybrid training. So I've got a bunch of people that have done High Rocks and Spartans and all these other races. But most importantly, when everyone that says to me, I'm not a runner, I'm not fast, I'm older, boy, when they do start putting these drills in, it's going to make you young again. Like keeping your joints ready to move, using that elasticity, less impact, it's a lot of fun. And if you feel goofy doing these drills out anywhere, do them at home. That's the best part. And then, of course, thank you for watching and listening and subscribing and sharing and all that good stuff. And comments, guys. If you go try this, let me know. How does it feel? You know, something to keep in mind is that there's so much to it. I'm trying to get it so you can get some simple tips and then come back and ask questions or join me. Let me coach you. I can really help you, of course, the best that way. But also, I'm here for questions. If you want to ask me cadence real quick, cadence should be 200 and up for sprinting, for speed work, 200 and up. 200 and up. So, you know, have fun with that. That's why we're going to do the quick feet and the hops so that you can handle that higher cadence. And that's just for drilling. So that's important. Again, when you're running fast, that will just be a natural byproduct. When you're drilling is when you can control. So again, if you want to get a band, we've got them on Amazon. Grab a curve. That's really effective, simple and effective. That's what I'm always going for. All right, guys, thanks again. See you next.